Hey everyone, Kiwi here. This is just a quick note. Even though I was very careful with my phone, it looks like I lost the ability to record audio on at least day 28. So I'm gonna include a little series of clips here, but all my commentary is gonna be off, and some other selfie shots I was doing where I was chatting with you guys about things that had happened has been lost. So there's no point just looking at me on the screen mouthing unless you're a lip reader. So yeah, I'm going to stop this now, and I'll include some footage of what's interesting to look at on day 28 from Allen Gap to Jerry Cabin. Yeah, so what happened to Allen Gap? So I get down there, and there was a tent there with a couple and a dog, and I knew that there was a couple of through hikers with a dog, so I assumed it was them, but it wasn't. It was a homeless couple, and they had two dogs and a cat, and within about 10 minutes, I pretty much heard their life story of how they're constantly getting screwed over by people, and people owe them money, and they're both recovering drug addicts, and she had no teeth, and they're steadily working through a couple of 6 packs of beer, and I was like, oh god, but it was late. The light was going in about 20 minutes, so I was like, screw it, I'll camp here. Now they turned out to be perfectly nice people, just having a bad time of things in life, but they were taking good care of their animals. The animals looked very healthy and well fed, and but yeah, it was just one of those weird scenes. What I will say is that on the other side of Allen Gap, as you go up about 5 minutes up the hill, there's some more stealth camping up there, and it's nice and protected by rhododendrons. I think there was room up there for about 3 tents. And yeah, it was pouring with rain. As soon as I decamped, there was a break in the weather, so I took my tent down and got moving. And yeah, and then it really started pouring down. So it wasn't the most pleasant of mornings. The rain stopped about, I think, two and a half hours later, and then the sun came out, and it was fine. But I think at that point, just the humidity levels maybe affected my phone, and so yeah, I've lost all the audio. So that sucks. I met a guy southbound who, man, I haven't met a Sobo since like the first week. Yeah, about the first week of starting this journey. And he was saying that, was it Little Laurel? Little Laurel shelter. Had the most gangster mice he's ever encountered, and he's southbound. He's almost home. They had the most gangster mice he's ever encountered, and I mean they were coming up and harassing him at the picnic table. At the picnic table. That's how brazen they were. Now that shelter itself, though, is quite a cute little shelter. It's a stone shelter. It's quite pleasing to the eye. There's a privy there. Privy's in good condition. But yeah, apparently it's a bit of a bad mouse situation there. So if you're averse to these kinds of things, it might be one to avoid. But so yeah, this will be the end of me talking for a little bit, and I will include the clips of, I mean, at least the scenery. I mean, unfortunately, it's also got all the details of how far along you are on the track before you find these things, and I just can't remember offhand how far far along, a lot of this stuff was. So I'll do my best, and at least you'll be able to see the scenery of that day. And I hope I've got footage of day 29. I've still got to go through my clips and have a look. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Morning everyone. It is day 28, and I'm all packed up, but just waiting for the rain to ease off so I can take the tent down. And I'll be on my way. I ended up camping down by the semi. There's another couple in the tent here. 2 dogs and a cat. Talk about that later. But yeah, just waiting for this rain to ease up a bit, and I'll take the tent down. I'll see you when I get on the trail.
Alright. So what I was getting at in this clip was that the rise up there is following the ridgeline. But they were kind enough to do a side cut into the hill down here. And I was of the opinion that was awesome. And, giving the option of doing a side cut trail at a nice easy gradient versus walking uphill over these ridge lines. Yeah, I'll take the side cut all day, every day. So, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was nice. Yeah, so in this section from memory, there's a couple of streams crossing the track here, and someone had been up fairly recently and been doing a lot of rock work to create sort of like raised platforms so that you're not walking through the water. And they put quite a bit of effort into this. But yeah, it was just nice. Like that shot there, they put a flat piece there to channel water. It was a little easier to get water from into a bottle. And yeah, it was just nice to see that somebody was up on the trail taking care of these things.
Yeah, and this was a really interesting piece of track. Very, very rocky. It just sort of like came out of nowhere. But it was, it was a beautiful day. The sun was out, and yeah, it was just an interesting piece of track to look at. And I think not far from here was White Cliff Lookout or something, and you had this great vista view over the surrounding valley, and that yeah, that's what I was talking about. These animals, man, they have to poop right in the middle of the trail, right in the middle. But yeah, this was some of the terrain that you're gonna have to clamber over, but pretty. Yeah, so you're coming down this hill, and there's this pool of water there. I'm like, cool. And there's a black pipe, and I'm like, excellent. And then you get even closer, and there's like one of the most awesome pieces of trail magic. Yeah, that's about 10 cans of beer that someone had left in the cold water, and it was a little early in the day. I was more interested in the water than anything, but yeah, but that was pretty awesome. That was nice of somebody to do that. And it was a little early in the day for me to be drinking. And I don't really want to drink when I'm walking on the trail anyway. I need my wits about me. But no, this is a really nice stealth campsite here. Um, Plenty of room for tents. There's a nice fire ring there, and plenty of room for multiple tents. And it's just a really nice spot, and it was just a gorgeous time of the day. And yeah, water is not a problem there. Water is definitely not a problem, and apparently beer is not a problem either. But yeah, that was awfully nice of someone to leave some beer in the cold water. But yeah, we're continuing off in that direction, and no, I did not partake. Yeah, this is just some footage of just showing how rocky the track was. This is a tight little switchback going up, and yeah, man, it's just weird. You get these sections where it's just the whole hillside is just boulders. But it makes for varied and interesting hiking. Yeah, this is White Cliff Lookout, I think, or White Rock Lookout. I forget which. I think I'm pretty sure I took a photo. But lovely, lovely vistas from there, and it was so clear. And this is only about, I don't know, 20 or 30 yards east of the track as you do a left-hand hairpin. And this is showing how much water is just like sitting all over this track as you approach, what was it? Fire Scald knob. Yeah, big Fire Scald knob. But I love the sign coming up. And so it's giving you the option of going to the right and following the trail, or going to the left and blue blazing, and they call it a bad weather trail. But yeah, easier, no shame. Same distance. It's bouldering, it's harder, but there's a view. And I'm like, well, of course we're going this way. So this is up the top of Fire Scald Knob, and it's probably a good thing that there is no original audio, because it was very windy, and it was a very interesting walk going up there. I'll include some still shots that I took on the way, because there was no way I was videotaping that and trying to climb up there. Very prehistoric. It was like you were walking up to be a human sacrifice to King Kong or something. But the views from the top were lovely. So this is part of the descent coming down from there. That descent is no joke, man. I mean, some of those boulders were as big as I am, and you step on them and they tilt.
there's no way you'd want to be up there in bad weather. This is me saying there is no way, no way I would go up there in bad weather. Oh man, yeah, that walk is no joke. Getting up there, getting up there is fairly tricky. You're on the exposed side of the mountain, at least when I was going up, and the temperature dropped like 12, 15 degrees. And then you get up to the peak, and you're absolutely exposed up there. I mean, there's no way you'd want to be up there if there was any chance of lightning. I mean, you're the tallest thing up there. And then on the way down, there's some very technical climbing. I mean, I had to stop using my trekking poles and actually use both hands to get down from some of these things. And like I said, I mean, big size boulders are just moving under your feet, and the whole mountain's weeping water, so then it could be covered in ice. But yeah, man, you suck it up. You put that pride away in a safe spot, and you take that blue blaze in bad weather. This is Jerry's cabin. It's a really nice stone cabin, shelter. It's got a fireplace, a good fire pit. Someone takes good care of this one. There's a shovel, there's a broom. It's got brand new hardware on the bear cables. The guy had just put in a brand new shelter logbook, and said that he's just replaced all the hooks for hanging bags and everything. It's got a really nice brand new sign for the shelter as well. The water source is uphill a little ways, but it was a good water source. This is walking up the trail from Jerry's cabin, going up to the water source there. It is piped, and it was a good water source. There was good pressure coming out of that thing, and it was easy enough to fill up my bottles in no time at all. I was in two minds at this point whether I was going to push on and try and get a few more miles out of the day. But at this point it was already only 38 degrees. It had dropped from almost 50 in probably about the last 45 minutes. And I knew that we were due for a really cold night. It was supposed to get down to 15. It got below that by a margin. I actually ended up meeting up with Groot, who's another northbound thru hiker, and he ended up pushing on, and I think he kind of regretted it. He has a partially functional tent. I think he broke one of his poles, and he's in like a half dome tent, so it's just got a flat face. So he's just sort of like slide or crawl into it. And man, because I mean, his tent's unusable until he finds a replacement pole. But so I mean, when he left the shelter, he had to get to the next shelter, and I think it was already like after 4 at this point. And the next shelter was, I think, almost 7 miles away. And I was like, the temperatures are really plummeting, and the winds were really picking up. They were really picking up. And I was like, nah, I'm setting up my tent. And so he pushed on, and I found his entry the next day. He did make it to the next shelter, but he got there just as it was getting dark. And his only entry in the shelter logbook was, "Groot is cold." And that night was no joke. That was very, very strong winds whipping up on that side of the ridge as you're looking at the bear cables. And I was camped, I don't know, about 50 meters or so away, and the winds were so strong that those mice discs, those would keep you up. That's how much they were moving, because the winds were just blowing them up and down the cables. But yeah, they got this beautiful brand new sign there for the cabin, and like I said, someone's really looking after this one. And there's quite a few tent sites. I mean, you could easily put 10, 15 tents down there. This is just showing you the location of the privy at Jerry's cabin. It's behind the cabin. You just follow the track down, and the privy was in good nick. They had a basket there with leaves to put a handful on after you've done your business. And no, it was a nice setup. It was clean too.